Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your reading with me, Cindy Taurus. I've already pulled out a couple of cards to get started here. We're working with, I am in your reading, I'm working with the Brian Froud Fairy deck and the Wild Unknown Oracle deck. You have a very interesting combination of cards. So, actually, I'm going to start with the underline. The underline is the first card. Wow, actually, yeah. You have two. Actually, you have the Death card and the Lady of the Harvest. That is very interesting because the Lady of the Harvest card it talks about like endings. Endings, a period of kind of coming to terms with things that have come to an end in our life, right? And you have the Death. So really, I feel like I'm picking up the energy of someone who has been through something that has ended in your life and it's monumental. Like it's a big thing here. As well as what I see on the cards on the table for right now. But I wanted to start with this underline because it is really strongly connected to what I see on the table for your energy at this time. So I kind of want to start here to bring everything into context as I'm looking at you. So yeah, you have definitely gone through a major change here in your life, to say the least. I would say like a major change, to say the least. There, maybe some of you have experienced the passing of someone very close to you, and you have gone through a mourning period as well. Your energy is the energy that I have for you right now is someone who is kind of on the other side of this, but it feels like you're definitely still dealing with the ramifications of whatever this was. So that's that deck. But then, oh wow, so this is the underline for the other deck. We have the Dragon card, which for many of you, you might know, this is kind of like my Eye of God card. So this is sort of like, it speaks to us that God is present in the reading. God is always present in the reading. I welcome divinity. That's how I center my readings. But this is kind of talking about like a period of time here for you, right? And this is right, this would be in alignment with the Death card. So there's something that has happened here in your life in the past that was quite, I don't know, it could even be shocking, sudden, monumental change. But this is something that did come in through God, and it likely has something to do with major soul growth for you. But you also have the Cheetah card, and this is like really intense masculine energy. But it can also talk about like things happening really quickly, needing to react really fast. So, okay. That's the past energy that I have for you here. I'm wondering if something happened here and there was like, if something catastrophic or some sort of major change in your life occurred and you didn't really have a lot of time maybe to process it. It just kind of feels like life could have been a bit of a whirlwind for you. Because when I look at your energy now, you have the gotcha card. You have the gotcha card. And the gotcha card talks of like very sudden breakdowns, existing structures. It could be existing structures, patterns, habits, attitudes. This is coming down. So this is coming down with the gotcha card. And then, but here's the card that comes with it. This is Lamb. And Lamb is very peaceful and prophetic. It's a very patient energy. It's like a little bovine baby. What is the lamb form? It's like a little Highland calf. Just like being peaceful and prophetic. Okay. Is this something totally different? Because when I first was looking at your energy, I was feeling to myself that, okay, I feel like that this is how they're approaching this major change that's gone on. And it could be whatever major change has happened for you in the past, you might now be having the opportunity to kind of sit in peace with it. Because whatever breakdown happened is leading towards a breakthrough for you. Like whatever breakdown happened is leading towards a breakthrough. But it's interesting. It's reminding me a bit of like a video I was actually just watching. It was talking about all the solar flares that happened last week. And we really, we were quite lucky that it didn't end up like taking down all of the satellites, you know, causing electricity grids to go down on a very monumental scale. But in the same breath, he was saying that, you know, when energy like this comes, it's really beneficial to us. It's actually infusing energy with a lot of cosmic force, clarity, consciousness. But the systems that we've created are very susceptible to breaking down, and we're attached to those systems. So when they break down, we really feel it, or we could panic, or we become frightened. The world that we knew isn't as it was, you know, the next morning sort of thing. But if we didn't have those systems, like if we were living a more nomadic life and, you know, we weren't reliant on so many man-made things, it wouldn't affect us in a negative way. So, but this card does talk about like there is something physical that is, there's a change going on for you here. There's a big change going on for you here, Taurus. And it looks like there's been a big change going on for you for, I don't know, like a while. We have 2 ending cards. There could be more than one area of your life where you've had an ending. And it might have all come in real quick, like at the hand of God. But you see, that's where this card comes in. And it really talks about the fact that it's breaking down structures, but it's also building us up on a soul level. But we can get sort of hyper-focused on the structural aspects that come down. So the fact that you have this card, to me, though, feels like you are in some type of peace. You may be connecting with your deeper self here at a time where you haven't been able to thus far. Maybe you're finally able to hear like your deeper self after a lot of catastrophe. Now, if you're not, like if you've been going through a lot of catastrophe or changes, I want to say maybe this card is even coming through as, you know, like take the time here to just sit in peace. Give yourself that time as much as you can. Like this doesn't feel like you had time. I mean, this really doesn't feel like someone who had any time. This is like that just feels like a whirlwind. Like God came in, everything fucking changed. That is 100% how that feels. Part of the recommendation with a gotcha is to not necessarily just pick up the pieces and put them back the way they were. Especially, right, like you have the death card, which isn't the tarot, but it is like, right, when we think about Scorpio, like something here, you've been scorpionized. That, like some aspect of your life here has definitely been scorpionized. And you are not meant to pick up the pieces and put them back together exactly the way they were. It's kind of like, think about what it is that you would like to build and give yourself room to grow in that. Okay. So let me add some tarot to this. Sit still, listen, and receive. Truth is a gift. You might even, like the Lamb, you could even get, there could be some sort of words of wisdom that come through another person. It could be a stranger, a child, right? Okay, at some point in the past, God came through in your life here. And God may have come through and really, it felt like it was disruptive. You know, like they could be events that occurred that changed the course of your life that you had really no way of avoiding or being prepared for. It may not have even been something that somebody else even did. Like it could have been, I don't know, like a whole bunch of chain of events. Like when it's God, you know, it's going to come through in a lot of ways. But now it's almost like God is trying to speak to you. So God is trying to speak to you. It could come through a child, a stranger, could come through a relative, and it could also definitely come through like just sitting quiet with yourself. Maybe this is part of knowing. Maybe it's like knowing I'm not supposed to put the pieces back together the way they were. I'm supposed to build something different here, but give myself room to grow. Because the Lamb is knowing. It's just a peaceful, gentle knowing. Gotcha. The Knight of Swords. Yeah, you may want to react quickly. The Knight of Swords. Something that has happened. I don't know. For some of you, I feel like this is like another thing that's happened. The Eight of Swords. The Nine of Wands. And the Death card. Holy crap, Taurus. This feels like you're going through like death, rebirth, death, rebirth, death, rebirth. This feels really intense, my friends. Yeah. Holy fuck. Okay, let's look at the Lamb. I'm looking at this energy and it just feels like, I don't know where is it going. I don't know what's going on. What the fuck? This is tiring. This is exhausting. And the Death card. Okay, there's got to be a lesson here that's going on, right? Maybe you've been trying to rebuild something in the same way it used to exist. Maybe you've been trying to rebuild something in the same way that it used to exist. Because that's the biggest lesson with gotcha, is not to rebuild something in the same way that it used to exist. And in whatever way you rebuild it, like give yourself room. So, you know, and what does that mean? Give yourself room. Okay, it's almost like, let's imagine you had this shed or a barn, a small barn in your backyard. Tornado comes through, knocks it out. All the animals are okay though. If you had any animals, we don't want any bad things to happen to the animals. That's like an act of God. How the fuck are you going to predict that? You get a fucking tornado. So God took it down. So God is telling you, don't build the same barn in the same spot. Don't do that. There could be something, right? Like trying to build the same barn in the same spot. But maybe what you don't realize is that there is something to do with the hills and the elevation and the trees around you. If a tornado does come through, or some sort of like, I don't know, a wind devil or something, it's going to go right down that area. So don't do that. Don't build it there. Build it maybe in another spot, but build it differently. Think about all the things that existed about that barn that used to drive you crazy. Like, don't think about the barn nostalgically. Don't look at the barn as, man, that barn, that's where, you know, my grandfather built that barn, or we did hoedowns in the barn, we did, you know, whatever. Don't. Think about what aspects of that barn used to drive you crazy. Maybe there was a lot of gaps in the wood, or maybe there was certain latches that didn't work well, or maybe there was storage was all up high and it was backbreaking to get hay up there. Like, try to think about the barn, build it differently. Okay, so that to me feels like a good way to approach it, to build it differently. Instead of looking at it nostalgically, look at it in terms of what didn't work for you in that barn. So if you have an opportunity to rebuild it thinking like that. If there are certain things that you absolutely loved about the function of that barn, then okay, incorporate them, but don't go crazy with that. Now think, okay, so maybe you had the barn, maybe you had goats. Okay, maybe when you build the barn, give yourself some room to grow. Maybe put a little lean-to. Maybe you're going to get a donkey or something. Okay, so that's what the gotcha card is about, because there's something going on here. It's like, I don't know if something is going to keep breaking down until you get it right. With the Death card, something's going to keep breaking down until you get it right. Death, harvest, death, fuck. Okay, Lamb. So it's just sit quiet. Sit quiet. Be patient. Because there is an important message. Like, it's like God is trying to get a message to you, but you can only receive it if you are sitting quietly. Just sit quiet. The Lamb. The Hanged Man. Look at this from a very different perspective. And I presented that when I said, you know, instead of looking at the barn and being filled with nostalgia about the barn, think about it. What parts of the barn drove you crazy? You know what? I didn't like where it was. It was so far from the house. It was also close to the little stream, and sometimes the little stream would overflow and the barn would flood. So you don't have to build the barn there again. There's a spiritual enlightenment that is meant to come through for you here. But there is some sort of, I don't know, hanging on or clinging to something that has already been dismantled. Right? The Hangman is our spiritual enlightenment. And the Lamb is here to give you some sort of spiritual enlightenment. But it also feels like it's going to, I don't know, it's going to keep breaking down until you do it right. To say, like, that's tough. That's a tough one. The fuck? So the Hanged Man. The Fool. Okay. Oh, fresh path. Maybe you don't build a barn. Maybe you build a little go-kart track. Maybe it's like, totally. The Nine of Cups. Wow, and the Empress. Okay. If you can hear God speaking to you, things are going to be very, very good. Yes, very, very good. Now, maybe you are going through like something catastrophic with this gotcha, the Knight of Swords. Like maybe this is something that came in really fast here. Again, you didn't see it coming. Maybe this is like a wound. It could even be turning into a wound where there's sudden changes that come into your life and you don't see them coming. And then you feel like you have to deal with it again. The Death card. You have to go through another transformation. Something around you has to transform. Oh, if you are taking on this Lamb energy, I feel very positive for you in this. Because I feel like you are, like if this Lamb is truly your energy, which I ask for, and not just like some type of recommendation, although it does come through as that if you're not quite at that point, that it is like to have a spiritual enlightenment. You're having a spiritual enlightenment. You are taking a fresh path. You're going in a new direction. There could be something a little bit, could be something humanitarian about what you're doing. There could be something also unconventional about what you're doing, but it could also be a path that you don't fucking know a thing about. You don't know anything about it. Like, it just could be, like, I don't know. But this is a good path, because this is, like, where you can make your dreams and your wishes come true. And this is, like, living in abundance. Living in a beautiful abundance here. Wow. What? Okay, I want to see this underline. Yeah, death and the harvest. That's almost like you feel like the apple tree. You feel like the apple tree or the pumpkin plant. You know, I think of pumpkins, right? Like, think of pumpkins, big things that people will harvest at the end of the year. And, or squash or something like that, right? And then once the plant, though, because the apple tree is not correct. Because the apple tree is going to, after the winter, is going to blossom and start all over again. Where something like, well, at least where I live, I don't know if squash plants and things like that can continue to grow. Or if you need to plant a new seed, like in more southern hemispheres. But here, it's done. It's finished. Collect those seeds and start something new in the spring, right? Yeah. Because it's almost like this is giving me the impression like you are the squash and the squash plant. Maybe you felt squashed. Like, so the plant dies, and then the fruit itself is harvested. And then that's end, right? Like somebody's going to do something with that, and that's it. So the Death card. I get Empress vibes from her, though, too. I get really powerful Empress vibes from her, which is interesting. Because you have the Empress over here as your final card. And it's all designed as some sort of death and rebirth. The Death card. The Page of Pentacles. Wow. It's almost like... Okay, we'll see what that... Because that has got... Like, that's a really fresh, careful... It's not like you were being reckless either. The Page of Pentacles is very careful, but it's learning. You're in some sort of a learning situation. The Queen of Swords. The Two of Wands. And the Six of Cups. There's the nostalgia. There's that nostalgia kicking in. Okay. That's been a factor in the past here. Don't get overly nostalgic, Taurus. I mean, even this Two of Wands, it feels like to me he's full of nostalgia. He's caught up looking in this book. And that's not what the Two of Wands is about. The Two of Wands is you may be in your safe space, but you are looking outside. You are looking outside to start imagining what could be. And I just feel like this guy is looking at old books, going, oh yeah, I remember that time. No, 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 no. And then the Six of Cups, very nostalgic. The Lady of the Harvest. The Two of Swords, okay, there we go. Trying to trust her intuition. Ooh, the Five of Pentacles. The Five of Wands. And the Strength card. And there you find yourself kind of out in the cold, in a conflict. It's almost like, kind of like somebody leaves an environment that they're familiar with. But as they're leaving that environment, it feels cold and hostile. But then you kind of walk towards a new environment that might look better, right, on the surface. But then inside that environment, there's hostility or there's competition, there's strife. It's not as good as it looked. It's still uncomfortable. So then it's finding this strength. This is your past energy. So I feel like you've been through a lot. And it looks like you're on the cusp of, I would say, probably the right path, the right enlightenment for yourself. Let me see Cheetah and the Dragon. The Dragon. The all-knowing eye. The all-seeing eye. The Four of Cups. So, oh my God, that's crazy. Because the Four of Cups is like missing out on the higher cup that higher forces are trying to show you, to give to you. God was trying to show you something here. And then the Cheetah, what did you do? See, that is really taking action, like masculine energy in its full force. The Cheetah. The Seven of Swords. I don't know. You hid? You're sneaky. What's that? The Seven of Swords. You're hiding something. Were you being covert? Or something was going on around you? The Queen of Wands. Oh, the Lovers. And the King of Pentacles. Okay, I feel like you were dealing with people in different situations here. And it almost is giving me the impression here that some people, it's on a need-to-know basis with whatever was going on in your life here. And some people needed to know this, and other people needed to know that. They don't need to talk to each other, and that person also does not need to know what this person. I don't know what it's about, but that's how it feels. Ooh, my third eye is doing a twitchy twitch. So I feel like, yeah. My gosh, Taurus, this is like really intense. But it's really intense energy, but it looks like you're on the other side of it. I think you're on the other side of this. Oh, look at the confirmation. We have the World card at the bottom. I think you are on the other side of this. I'm going to go do the extended reading, Taurus. In the extended reading, I'm going to ask, what pieces should you pick up and what should you build in your life, like, right? Because that's kind of like the key right now at this point for you. And I'm also going to ask, how can you leave room for growth? So I will look at that both sort of like on a spiritual sense and a physical sense with different cards in the extended. There are two options in the description below, both on my Patreon. You can either do one-time purchase or a membership. Thank you so much, Taurus. Until next time, be gentle with yourselves. Bye.